There's Shivas, Cox, now into the pits, the last of the significant Suzuki stops. Suzuki's having to take their changes much earlier than the Hondas, which are putting the Hondas in the lead on the road. Bike 8, Len Willing, is leading on a Honda. Rod Cox goes out, replacing Neil Shivas. So the last of the Suzuki stops down. Now they'll start to really motor, realising that the Hondas have to take their stops in about 10 seconds' time as bike 30 goes through to unlap itself in the lead in the 750cc class, but that, of course, will only be temporary.
Right, interviewing Robert Holden here, who's currently leading the 750 class and coming 13th outright. An incredible job, Robbie. How are you finding it out there?
It's good. The only real problem is the slower guys on the 1100s. They got a bit more grunt down the straights. You can outride them, but they just seem to get you back again. But it's quite good. Everything's going well. The tyres and everything are really brilliant. It's really good.
That's great. We put the watch on you up there, and you're doing consistent 57.5, 58s. Really, really good time, and I guess that's why you're so far up.
Yeah, like I say, the whole bike's handling good, the tyres are gripping really well, the brakes, everything's just spot on. If we need to go fast, we possibly could, but it's good to cruise at that type of speed, and we'll just see how it goes later on.
And here's the first big race drama. Lenny Willing is coming into the pits early on the Honda 1100. He had to do an hour and a half to allow him to get through the Castrol 6 hour with only 3 stops. He's coming in 6 minutes too early, and that effectively means that he's going to lose 1 pit stop and be equal with the Suzukis on pit stops. It puts a lot of jeopardy on the rest of the Hondas as well. Pulling off, Vince Sharp on. Clocks are going. Vince Sharp will risk himself. He's not raced this year. He's crashed twice, causing himself knee injuries on both occasions. He's out in only 13 seconds, and that's a lot better than anyone else. So the slick Matic team working well in the pits.
But actually in the pit area for more than 30 seconds, so time lost really adds up, although he's only stationary for 13. The race leader has now gone to 3rd place behind Andrew Johnston, the new race leader, on 3. 2nd place Roger Hayes on the Suzuki number 4.
Vince Sharp on the bike now. His left knee really hurting him. He went down the road during the week and in fact faces a trip to hospital tonight or tomorrow morning to have a tendon looked at in a small operation. But Sharp, probably the very weak link of the Team Matic team. Quickly overtaken there by the Byers pace bike. And round the outside by Glenn Taylor as he settles into the bike 8.
Glenn Taylor at the moment's 5th place too, on bike number 10. In fact, it's been in the opening laps. As new riders have got on the bikes, that we've seen quite a lot of drama. Wayne Gardner, who got sideways on the bike that he took over from Wayne Clark. We saw Roger Hayes in a problem with another bike. We saw also Gardner cut across the front of somebody and nearly take his front wheel from him on the main straight.
Lenny, the race leader, you just came and did an incredibly fast pit stop. How are you finding things out there?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's hard to say whether it's going to rain or not. At 1 minute there's a bit of water and then it's gone again. But the bike's going good. The traffic's a bit hectic and there's a few people bringing a lot of dirt onto the racetrack, but provided the rain stays away, it should be a good day.
The bike's handling well?
Yeah, going good. Yeah, no problems there.
Well, that's very good. Thanks very much.
No problem.
Not exactly the time for Len Willing to say that, because Vince Sharp almost threw it away there on Winfield Corner, and now behind him bike 7, the Alan Blanco Jeff French bike indicates the other team bike, indicates either he's coming into the pits or he was simply indicating his surprise at what Vince Sharp was doing in the lead.
Glenn Taylor in 5th place gets to the hour and a half mark, in which he's only got another couple of minutes, a couple of laps to do so. Then he will be one of the Hondas that will be running through on 3 stops not 4 as for the Suzukis, and now possibly this bike number 8 with been sharp aboard. And there's a bit of pressure from a rider, Jeff French, who's wanting to unsettle the new boy in the saddle, although they're in the same team.
Yes, they are in the same team. This would not be pleasing Frank Matic, the team leader, at all. There's an old dictum that you just don't race amongst teammates, at least not this early in the event.
But look at that clash for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. The race leader at the moment is still Andrew Johnson on bike number 3. He is 15.15 seconds in front of this trio. Roger Hayes, Glenn Taylor, the latter of those 3, sandwiched in the middle, Pete Byers. A lot of people barely knew of Pete Byers when he qualified a Honda 6th here 2 Castrol's ago, but he still doesn't come down to the south very often. But you can see there he's doing a fine job. He's in 2nd place. My word, he is. So it's Byers, Hayes, and Hayes looking as though he's not able to sustain the pace set by Campbell, as looming on him too is Glenn Taylor. 14.76 seconds, the gap now, 1st to 2nd place, as Byers pulls in just a little bit of ground, both on Hayes but also on the race leader. Andrew Johnson, he's to hand over to Greg Pretty, and he should be able to keep the bike circulating at a very similar pace to Johnson.
Oh, and Roger Hayes clipped the Honda apex there and very, very nearly got himself into a lot of trouble. The 1.5 hour mark now gone, so the Hondas, the remaining Hondas, which have not yet had their pit stops, are in a very good position.
Glenn Willing's early stop perhaps indicative of the difficulty he had early on in the race with Neville Hiscock. Must have been a bit expensive on fuel for Len Willing, that concentrated dice he had with him. But remember that 1st, 4th, 5th and 6th place are still to stop for their first pit stop.
By 15 in the pitches and Scott Stevens, Rick Walden, Honda 1100. That's the first of his scheduled stops.
Rick Walden doesn't do a lot of motorcycle racing these days, concentrating on flying choppers, and he looks pretty weary as he sinks to the ground against the Armco fencing. The young boy getting on the bike from Tasmania, like Malcolm Campbell from the Southern Isle, Scott Stevens, he's a hard charger. Got a lot of talent, this boy. He was a reserve rider for the Matic team.
There's the
we
Honda
look there at Glenn Taylor coming in. But Scott Stevens was a reserve rider for the Matic team, but was freed from that to take the place of an injured Hall on bike 15. And this is Glenn Taylor now handing over to the Queenslander, David Robbins.
Good stop, 12.5 seconds. Tony Hatton, the team manager, obviously pleased with it.
Robbins dislocated a shoulder at Surfers a couple of weeks ago. Got out wide in the grass. He said he just wasn't concentrating. He was dicing with Neville Hiscock. And just ran wide, came off, dislocated his shoulder. And he said if you pushed him really hard on his left shoulder now, it would go out. It doesn't worry him when he's riding.
Robin's very sensitive about the tag that's been given to him this week, and that is of a wily old veteran. He points out that he's only 29 years of age, so he says, and claims that he's not nearly as old as a lot of the other guys he's racing against. Certainly he's been around a lot of years, though, and I think to say he's wily at least is very appropriate.
It's perhaps a compliment to his very smooth riding as Wayne Gardner goes underneath him. Wayne Gardner hasn't been lapping particularly quickly. He's been in the 58s so far since he's got on the bike. He had a couple of wildish sort of moments. 21 in behind them is Skoolar Dowson. Dowson, the West Australian.